Hi, everybody. I'm Jennifer Tryon. Thank you for tuning in. Look what we're making. Hello, spring. The Tulip Star. So cute. And the blocks are getting progressively easier and quicker to make in the Barn Star Sampler. This is block 4. So if you've got your supplies ready and all of your fabric cut out, the cutting for the Tulip Star in block 4 is pretty straightforward. No angled cutting or anything like that at all that we've seen in some of the other blocks. It's just straight squares and rectangles here. So this is a pretty quick block to come together. So won't take you too long. We do need to make 2 of these blocks for the Barn Star quilt. And just a reminder that the cutting instructions are for 1 block. So we're going to want to double it. So wherever it says cut 4, you're going to need to cut 8. You get it. And when it says make, 4 of these units, you'll need to make 8 to make if you want to do 2 at one time, which is sort of the efficient way of doing it. So this is what she looks like. She's very pretty. We need to make 2. So I've got 1 here, and we're going to make 1 more. So I'm only going to be making 1, but you'll be making 2 because I've already got 1 done. I'm ahead. So let's start off with our swatch sheet. You want to make sure you're filling in your squares. Fabric 11, you've got the gold floral. Fabric 24 is the solid white. Can't really see it there, but it's glued on. Solid white. And then fabric number 9, that's the plum floral. I need to glue that one on. And I'm just grabbing a little scrap. And I will put that on the corner. I'm just using regular white glue here, but you could use like tape runner or even just, if you have lots of extra pins, you could pin it, but that would be like a health hazard. Probably you'd stick yourself in the end with all those pins. So I'm just gluing it there. And then number 2, I've already used that one. It's the white and raspberry floral. So the white and raspberry piece for me, there's no flowers on it, but it's the right colors. I've also got my rotary or my rotating cutting mat here. Makes it easy. There's lots of trimming in this particular block. So that's good. I'll have that handy. You want your iron handy? I'll put my swatch sheet aside for a minute. I got my iron hot. I got my ironing pad. And I think we're good to go. Let's start we're going to start right here. Making the corner units. And we're going to pull a B square, an A square, and a C square. And you'll be making 8 full units. So you need to do this 8 times. 4 for 1 block, 8 for 2. And we're just going to go right sides together. And this is a nice, easy one to put together. Right here. So that 1/4 inch. Now I'm using the Deco Bob that came in the kit. It's nice thin thread for piecing. So just a reminder, you may want to play with your tension, your top tension a bit when using this thread. I've got my top tension down to 1.8 on this electronic machine. So if you have an electronic machine, maybe try. You want to, when you're pulling your piece apart, that you're not seeing all kinds of stitches. If you're seeing you can see them a little, obviously, if you really pull. But if you're seeing like more than like a millimeter of a stitch, then you should tighten up your tension a little bit because the thread is so thin. All right, we're going to press this towards the white. So just take a look at your sewing and do a little test square or something. Make sure your tension is good. And then we're going to bring this to our C piece, right sides together. And we're going to press this towards the white. Sorry, my hand's kind of blocking there. Press that towards the white. And this needs to measure 3 by 3 inches. So let's just take a look and see where it might be creeping out beyond that 3-inch mark, because maybe we could make some adjustments. I've got a little 3.5-inch square here. All good on that side. A little bit creeping out on this side. So you're going to want to trim these units to make sure they're 3 by 3 inches, even if you're just taking off a wee little bit. It helps keep things nice and precise. There we go. Okay. So you're going to need 8 of these little fried eggs. That's what it looks like. And you can just keep this right here, because we're going to make the rest of the corner unit, which is the tulip. That you can kind of see it coming together there. So we need our D and our F and our E. So the this goes this way. Lay it out first, okay? And this one's a little wrinkly. Give it a little press. You know, a lot of fabric can get eaten up in the wrinkles, so make sure you're starting with fabric that's pressed. All right, right sides together here. And we're going to press this towards the pink side. Or would you call this red? What would we call this? I guess in the book it's called raspberry floral, but it's just it's raspberry, I guess, for us. All right. So now with that sewn together, this is lining up a little more evenly. Right sides together. And just make sure you don't catch that seam allowance when you're sewing. You want that to lay nice and flat. So if you want to sew with your seams up so you can take a look, that will sometimes help. If you're finding that a lot of them are flipping over, sew with the majority of the seams facing up so that you can kind of police that a little bit. This is starting to, there we go. And again, I'm pressing this towards the raspberry. Okay, and that is part of the tulip unit, but we're not done yet. We still need to add the F squares. So grab a couple of the F squares that you've got, and we're going to put them in the corners here. And this is really going to help us have the little points on the tulip. So 1 and 2, and you'll just see the points lining up right. They just touch. They don't really cross. So if they're crossing, you probably need to move it down. They just touch right there. And we're going to draw a line. Diagonally from the center down to the bottom right. And from the middle left to the bottom center. And then we're going to sew and sew. Right on that line, not on the other side of the line. We're sewing right on the line. Just cutting that. Now remember, you're going to have to make 8 of these. I'm just doing the one, but you can chain piece this one at a time, or you can sew each side at the same time and turn it around. So now what you've got is this is ready to flip out, and now it looks even more like a tulip, hey? So cute. All right, so we're going to cut off that edge. So I'm just putting my 1/4 inch mark on my ruler right on top of those stitches so that I can cut away that 1/4 inch. And I've been keeping these little pieces, you guys. I'm sewing a 1/4 inch right down the long side of those little scrap pieces. So let's get the other scrap piece, 1/4 inch. Whoops. And I'm just sewing that. And we can use these at the end for something. I'm just sewing them, chain piecing them as I go. You'll have more than this. I have more than this in my basket because I've already done one block. But put them in there, and then you're going to have a bunch of all these different shapes of half square triangles. And it'll be something very, very scrappy we can put together. Okay, so this is our corner unit, the tulip. Cute. All right, I'm going to press this towards the white. And you'll need 8 of these. I'm going to set it aside for just a second because next up we have to make sort of the base of the tulip. So we're going to grab a G piece. That's one of the smaller purple pieces. And another F piece. We got lots of F squares in this. So that's probably where you'll want to pause the video before there and get yours done, and then you can pick it back up here. Or watch all the way through so you know what to expect, and then you can go ahead and make the block on your own. So I'm going to draw a line from the top down to the bottom right, and I'm going to sew directly on that line. And then I'm going to do the same. I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but because these go together, and I want to make sure that you see that one is larger than the other, one purple, but it's still an F square, this time on this side. And I'm going to draw down. There we go. And I'm just going to sew directly on those lines. So remember, you'll need to make 8 of each of these. And you can chain piece them together. That'll make quicker work out of it. So if you do 8 of each, you'll have 16 in a row that you're sewing together here in this big chain. And then they'll come off. And they're both going to fold like this. So I can measure away. This ruler is a little too small for this, but it just fits. I should probably use my bigger one. I suffer from the ruler's either too big or too small. It's hard to have all the rulers. Okay, I'm going to sew those little scraps together because I want to save them. Okay, and now we're going to press this towards the white. And we're going to trim the smaller one to 2.5 by 5. So I just want to look and see, because there is some trimming room. 2.5 right on that half mark. Even if it's just a fluff, just helps straighten it up. Good, good, okay. Set it aside. And then this one gets trimmed 2.5 by 7. So use your longest original shape as your guide. That rectangle we know was cut straight. And so 2.5 by 7 inches. So let's see, am I going over it all here? Yeah, we're a little over. I can trim that up a little wee bit. Okay. Now you're going to have 8 and 8. And we're going to go ahead and put this together with our bigger tulip. So bring back your little tulip bulb, and on it goes, and on it goes. Sort of the base of the flower here. This could have been green, really. Maybe that's too obvious. Anyway, we're going to assemble this together. So we'll start here, right sides together. And we want to make sure these aren't nesting, but we do want to make sure the whites are sort of lined up, because that's the background. So if you want to put a pin sort of just diagonal down those two seams so that those diagonals stay together, you'll have your backgrounds nice and lined up. And we'll just sew right along. If your machine has a function where you can end with the presser foot up, it's a good time to use it. That way you're not having to press it up. Okay, don't run over your pin. And remember, you'll do this for each one of your little units here. So 8 times. Got my little scraps ready for the basket. Okay, ooh, look, see when you take the time to line up the backgrounds there? Okay, and this is going to press towards the purple. Okay, and now I'm ready for this one. Same deal, I want these whites to line up. They're not going to nest, but I am going to take a second to make sure that's white on white here. And I'm just going to pin right below there so that they stay lined up. Make sure your seams don't line up. See the presser foot lifted up on its own there. As soon as I stopped, it lifted up. I like that function. On some of the computerized machines, that's a nice feature. Yay. Okay, this is going to press towards the purple. All right, now we've got our true corner unit finished. So next up, we're going to make the side unit, the thing that's going to go in the middle. So if we go back to and look at our big block again, you can see what's coming next. It's this middle unit. Very easy cutting, piecing these two together. And then we'll do our center row. So for this, you're going to take an I piece and a J piece and make sure that they're linear. It's long ways together. The way they've shown us in the book. You don't want to put, because one of the I sides is slightly longer. So you don't want to put them together like the wrong way. You want to make sure it's going together the right way. And it's like this. So right sides together. And we're going to sew right along there. Easy. And remember, you're going to need to do this 8 times. So you'll chain piece that. And once you have them all, so you need 8 for 2 blocks, we're going to press towards the raspberry. And then we'll bring it to our, so we'll have a bunch ready. And we can start assembling our rows, because at this point you'll have all of your center units, and we'll start putting together the rows, because when you put these together, you're making both the top center units and the side center units. So let's do our middle row first here, because I've got this one, and then I'm going to have one more on this side, and then we need that K piece just to complete it. We're not having to do anything fancy in the center here. It's just a straight up square. No square and a square or cutting on the diagonal. They're giving us a nice easy one here. So right sides together. So. Okay, and then I'm pressing towards the raspberry here. Too much stuff on my ironing pad. So that's one side of the middle. Then we're going to make the other side. Right sides together. So. Again, we're going to press towards the raspberry. So this is facing in. And that's our center row. Let's bring over our tulip blocks, and we'll make the top row. Lay it out. Always lay it out. You don't want to inadvertently be putting one tulip facing down. Although sometimes I like to just see what it would look like, but you know. I can get rid of my rotating mat now. Okay, we're laying it out. This can go to the side for right now. Make sure that raspberry piece is facing down, and we'll go right sides together. Nothing to even nest here. It's pretty straightforward. 1/4 inch. Feels nice to have a bit of an easier one after the first 3 were so big. So there's one side. We don't need to press this yet because we're not sewing over an unpressed seam. Right sides together on that side. Don't let your seams get caught in the presser foot. And this is going to press out towards the tulips, okay? This way. And then out toward the tulips. Make sure I didn't catch any, which I did. Look at that. That needs to go this way. Phone's ringing. Okay. So there. Lay it out. Lay it out. Oh, it's looking nice. And now we will want to nest these seams. We want to have those points as crisp as possible. So right sides together going up. And let's just find that, have a feel and bring them together. And when you feel it, put a pin right through the center of that seam. Same with this side. Feel that seam. Putting a pin. And then we'll line up the rest. Once those center ones, I'm not too worried if it doesn't go all the way to the end or all the way to the end. It's the center that I'm most wanting to make sure is lined up. And we'll sew right across. Don't run over that pin. Don't run over that pin. Making sure that is flipped down. All right. Good. Those points look good. Needs to be pressed, but we'll press that after. Now we'll nest these seams here. Just feeling for them and then bringing it together. Kind of doing that rubbing with your finger and your thumb so that they're stuck nice together. Pin. This one too. Pin. There we go. Whoops, I'm about to have that flip up. There we go, push it down. Okay, that's that block, you guys. That one felt like a nice spring breeze with the tulips. All right, let me just press this. We're going to be pressing it towards the outer rows, so towards the tulips. Towards the tulips. You know, what's nice about this book is, you know, you're making these blocks and you're getting a sense of how fast they come together. You know, you could make an entire spring quilt just with 9 or however many of these blocks you wanted to line up. But that would come together really, really quick if you had them all in a row, or you put like a little border in between. You could change up the patterns if you wanted to make it scrappy, but you're sort of getting the sense of all the things that you could do with this one book. Like this could come together as its own whole spring quilt, all those tulips. It's gorgeous, but that's 2 blocks of block 4 in the Barn Star. I hope this was helpful watching me make it. Good luck with yours. I can't wait to see how they turn out. Make sure you're posting in the group. We'll see you next time.